Today, we've got the St. George Real Estate Morning Drive. Standing by is Jeremy Larkin. There's that man. Jeremy, what's up, brother?
Standing by.
Standing by.
Standing by. Good morning, everybody. Happy to be here. We were just complimenting Andy about his incredible caricature.
Yeah, that's a hard word, but you're right.
Caricature.
Caricature.
Very cute. You should.
Neil Galloway was at the art festival, and he had a line. You know, people wanted to get their caricatures done, and that's weird. Caricatures done. And I said, Neil, I don't have time to wait. I don't have an hour to sit here and wait, but give me your card. So went through the process of emails and texts and everything. I sent him a picture. He got it done.
It's fun. It's really fun. By the way, now, was he startled when you originally wanted to do that nude? Like, was that weird for him? Because I'm glad that they ended up putting the suit and tie on.
Well,
I know
it's shoulders up, so yeah.
I know it's a family program. I just come on. We have to see if people are awake this morning, right? Come on.
When you're as hairy as I am, you're never completely nude.
Yeah, that's exactly right, man. That's the way God made you. Happy to be here, and we've startled the audience certainly with our content this morning. But we will talk about real estate.
Slightly startled, really.
Everybody's mind went kind of crazy.
Let's purge that mental image if we can.
Oh, we're gonna have fun today. We're gonna purge all sorts of stuff this morning. We're gonna talk about affordable housing, and I've got my good friend and mortgage partner, and he's a home mortgage lending professional, Chantry, Abbott in studio. Good morning, sir.
Howdy, good morning.
Happy to have you, man. We're going to have a good time because we're going to be talking about this idea of affordable housing, right?
Yeah.
Which is an idea.
Is that an oxymoron?
Yeah, that was not intended to come out quite that way, but it did. That was fun, right? This idea of affordable housing and this conversation about, what is affordable housing and what's going on. There's been some interesting news here. I'm Jeremy Larkin with St. George Real Estate Morning Drive. And of course, for those who don't know us, we help people buy and sell real estate every day. That's what we do. And saw something very funny on Facebook this morning. And so there's a lawsuit. There are some lawsuits going on that are alleging, and I love the word alleging, right? They're alleging that essentially all these massive real estate brokerages like Chantry 21 and Remax and Keller Williams that we belong to are conspiring and colluding to charge a 6% commission. Well, the real estate market, that's been the old standard. And for what it's worth, our clients realize that commissions are always flexible. We have kind of a flexible fee agreement based on who brings the buyer, who brings the seller, and some other factors. And it's fun. It gives people some options, right? But to accuse the brokerages of colluding is, it's the industry. It's just the market. That's what the market is. It's kind of what people have charged for a really long time. Well, somebody had made a comment, and it was quoting a consumer who really had it all figured out. He said, and I'm gonna do my best right now, guys, to what's the word here? Actually, you know what? This is too funny. I have the quote. I think I have it right here in front of me, because what they said, the consumer said, and if you bought or sold a home recently, the consumer said, it was obvious on this move that the traditional system, and Chantry, you'll get a kick out of this as a mortgage guy, it was obvious to me that the traditional system no longer operates in line with what the consumer needs in the 21st century, Chapman said. Whoever Chapman is, Mr. Chapman. I literally had everything I needed in the palm of my hand to find all the homes and all the related facts. I just needed, now please capture this, I just needed someone to open the doors, write the contract, and connect me to the schools and the community.
Oh, that's all.
I just needed someone, and this is my follow-up, I just needed someone to do everything for me, including getting my butt out of trouble if I didn't understand my contract, how to negotiate repairs, which tax proration formula made the most sense, and right?
Yeah.
I had everything in the palm of my hand, like a bunch of listings on Zillow. I didn't actually know anything about a real estate contract, which is 6 pages if there's no addendums. Right?
What's funny is, doesn't the market figure itself out? No one cares about, there's no laws about attorneys are charging too much per hour or too little or whatever. No. Doesn't that just sort itself out?
It sorts itself out. And Jesse, you're in the studio. I'm going to ask you a question. Just screen across. How many hours do you think is spent on a typical real estate transaction? Let's be real. The typical means
Total?
Just average.
50, 60?
Okay, let's call it 50 hours. You guys with me? What's your attorney charge? Anybody know? $300 an hour?
350, yeah,
Sure,
like
let's say 300 an hour. That's even high, I think, probably.
Well, right, I mean, so let's call for, you know, okay, so, well, the 18 grand, 60 hours. 60 hours at $300.
Wow.
Let's pretend you have a chief attorney, this is the paralegal's rate, times 60 hours, $150 an hour, that's $9 grand. Let me just tap my fingers like Russ likes to do. We don't charge per hour,
I'm
right?
actually really surprised by that even.
Is that wild?
Should surprise me. Yeah,
Is that
great.
wild?
Yeah.
Like, I hope somebody watching on Facebook Live, please comment on what, I mean, like, this is crazy. So, again, it was obvious to me, the traditional model didn't work anymore, because I had a Zillow app, but I didn't realize how to actually pull real comps and find out what the homes really sold for in the neighborhood, write a contract that would cause me to actually get the home, figure out the proper amount of earnest money I needed to put down, figure out my mortgage process. Was I gonna get an FHA, a VA, conventional loan, a rural loan? Was I gonna go cash? Was it a 1031 exchange? Was I gonna do a leaseback, a trade, a swap, an upper downer cider, right?
Home inspection,
What was I gonna do
appraisal.
with my home inspection? How was I gonna hire a home inspector? I was gonna get back a home inspection report, which was gonna be 36 pages long with 52 items that were wrong with the home. I wasn't really familiar with how I would even decide which of those 52 items I needed to negotiate or not. And then what about termites? Did I need a termite inspection? Because, wow, I just heard there was termites in St. George, and who was going to do that? And then what about the appraisal? And then I wasn't sure because the appraisal came in low, because I offered $350, but the appraisal came in at $3. Guys, I mean, should I get passionate this morning? Because I'm just getting started.
He's a little fired up.
Yeah.
He's a little fired up.
Yeah,
I need a fist bump here.
it's fun, it's fun.
This is a little bit off the topic too, but buyer and home seller alert, Zillow doesn't have accurate information in most cases. So
No.
be super careful with Zillow. I mean,
Yeah.
it is the trap. And I'm not even speaking bad about Zillow. It's just in general, the information you find on the internet probably isn't local. A lot of times it's outdated, and there's something missing. There's all kinds of people that are always like, oh, I found this house on Zillow, and it's this and that. And it's like, if it's too good to be true, there's something there. You know, like one guy, it was, this house was super cheap, and it's because it had foundation issues, and there was no financing available. And he was halfway into buying this house before he even knew what was going on, because he didn't need a realtor. He had it all in the palm of his hand, right? So.
Right, okay, so this is just, it's so along those lines. This is fun. I've opened up, so I'm in Dropbox, by the way. We store all of our files on Dropbox. The login, the password is blank. So anyway, we're just gonna ruin our clients' lives for a minute. This is a contract on 70 South 1840 West. It's Stonebrook over at in the Sunbrook area.
Yeah.
Selling this home for $410,000, okay? I have a backup offer, I have a canceled offer, I have another backup offer, and I have a primary offer. The primary offer consists of a 6-page real estate purchase contract and 5 addendums. When they wrote the offer, the buyer was writing the offer contingent on the sale of their home in Salt Lake City. So all of the contract and all the terms were subject to these guys getting their home on the market and getting the home sold. And then they had to have it sold by a certain date, and if they didn't have it sold by a certain date, the contract would be canceled. Then we turned around and we sent them back what's called the time clause addendum, which said, Chantry, I appreciate you writing an offer. We're gonna continue to market the property, and if somebody else comes in, they can write a contract. We have to disclose to them that they're a backup contract. Once we have that contract signed, we're gonna give you 48 hours to turn around and remove your contingency, the subject of the sale of your home. Or, can you see how crazy this gets, Andy?
Yeah, yeah, and I can't even fathom negotiating without a realtor.
Yeah, but I had everything I needed in the palm of my hand.
Oh, it's selling a house and negotiating without a realtor, and I'm not one, is like going to court without an attorney.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
are you kidding?
I love this, Steve Brown. It's exactly right, Chantry, and let me just represent yourself. That's what Zuckerberg did. Steve Brown said the quote I heard: "The A in Zillow stands for accuracy." Okay, nice,
that's
dude.
good.
Nice.
I like
All right.
that.
So let's talk about affordable housing. It's just, I think these are just fun discussions about what we deal with. And so, understand that when Travelocity and all these guys came along in Expedia, they were the product of this kind of system. Well, the CEO of Zillow has created Expedia. So
I didn't know that.
Really?
yeah, so it's like trying to remove the human factor from the process.
Yeah.
And guys, finding the homes is easy.
Oh, that's the easy part.
Oh, anybody can find the house, Now, we have access right now. If you're a buyer thinking about purchasing something and you can't find it in the market, I can literally go back over a decade and look at every canceled and expired listing, meaning all the homes that didn't sell, and I could get on the phone in an auto dialer. Jesse here in the studio does it. Get into the dialer, plug in 1,000 phone numbers and names, and start calling through them and saying, "Did you ever sell your home? I have a buyer." And we could. You've done this for a long time. How many loans do you think you guys have closed?
Well, just in the last, let's say 5 years, because everything changes so much that anything before that probably doesn't matter, but over 1,000
Okay.
in the last 5 years.
Beautiful. So like we're at 1,200 home sales, so you're like right in there with us. And 1,000 transactions is, you run into a lot. You run into all the complexities that you
Yeah.
can really understand.
And what's crazy, you still haven't seen it all probably, because everything's different, but yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you've seen most of it.
Yeah, I mean, well, and we get funny questions. I had a client this week say, why did it take them 4 hours to do a home inspection at my house? And I was like, I don't know. You know what I mean? I didn't even have an answer for it, other than, I guess they wanted to be meticulous. So 1,000 transactions, I mean, really what you're doing is, you're taking that average consumer, which it's me, it's, probably everyone in this studio, and you're helping us get the money we need to purchase a home. This has been really foreign to my kids. They're like, "Dad, how could you buy a $500,000 home? How do people do that?" And like, I've had to explain to them that most people don't have $500,000, right, Chant? Like,
Right.
they brought 50 or 80 or $100,000, put it down, and then got the loan, right?
Right.
So, but I like to describe this way, but this is an arduous process, and what he's doing is helping people purchase a home in a completely amazingly, like a cool leverage position.
Yes.
You get to buy and own a property, air quotes, that you actually only put 3 to 20% of the purchase price on.
Right.
It's awesome,
Yes.
right? So affordable housing, so Desert Bluff Development, you're familiar with it. Salisbury's doing this out there on, what do we call it? I mean, it's Southern Parkway, it's out of the airport.
Yeah, by the airport.
Desert, I always call it Desert's Edge, but what is it, Jesse? Desert what? We're the Thornleys, we're selling the Thornleys home. Desert something.
That's Desert
So,
Touch.
you know what I'm talking about, clear out there. So, they've come up with a product, this is just one project, so, and this was in the news. And we talked about this last week on this show, not this project, but the fact that whenever there's an article about affordable housing, what is all the commentary, Chantry, on Facebook?
Yeah, I guess to me, what is affordable housing, and I think it's just what you're trying to define it as.
Right.
Because I think some people think, my definition of affordable housing might be a little different than the average consumer. I think the average consumer thinks affordable housing is like low income. And I don't mean to say this in a negative way, but if you're really low income, you're probably not a home buyer.
Correct.
So affordable housing, now if we're talking about affordable rentals and government subsidized and things like that, that's a different conversation. But if you're a homeowner, you probably need to be in the median income or somewhere near that.
What is the median income these days?
That, loaded question, right? But really the median income, I think in southern Utah, they say is around 55,000, something like that.
Okay, so 55,000, that's a household income.
We're talking household, median income, 55-ish. something.
Yeah, so $55,000 household income. Just run for us for fun. I mean, what does $55,000 income get you in a mortgage? And I realize that we have to take some factors in consideration. So I want you to factor one thing in for me, Chantry. So again, Chantry is with Guild Mortgage. He and his partner Steve Stout run an incredible operation. Oh my gosh, we love working with them. And we'll give you their contact information during the show. So factor this in. Let's assume that it's not 20% down. Because how many people anymore actually have 20% down?
The ones that put 20% down, typically this is their second or third home.
Correct.
They've sold a house, that's an actual.
So if we're talking, this is what's so great. This is how we find out what averages mean. You have to realize, so Andy, how much do cars cost these days?
Well, it depends on the
Right?
car, yeah.
Right? So when we run this scenario, we have to back into it. Affordable housing means it's probably a first-time buyer with a very low down payment.
Yeah.
So what did you run? What did you assume for down payment?
So there are even, what some people don't understand is being a first-time home buyer, if you have average credit, you can buy a house with 0 down and it's not that expensive.
No, it's no cheaper. It's no more expensive than paying rent.
Yeah, and that's not great credit, that's average credit. Let's say you make $4,500 a month between you and your spouse.
Okay.
You could probably qualify $1,500 to $2,000 in a house payment, depending on what your other debts are, but that would be kind of normal.
Okay, so can we back into, now, we're reverse doing the math.
Yeah.
What per house does that give us?
Probably a $250,000 house.
Okay, $250,000 house. Jesse, are the $250,000 homes in St. George? Are there?
Yes,
Yeah,
not very many, but
not very many, right? 250,000. So when Salisbury comes out and says, we're gonna create some affordable housing, I happen to know that this Desert Bluff is kind of in that range. I think they're up to 280. Are you familiar?
Mhm.
I talked to
Yeah.
JD Reese that works with them, sent me a text, but my phone is recording this right now, so I can't look. Would that sound right about the
Yeah.
pricing out there?
Yeah.
Have you done any loans on those or no?
I don't know if we have or
I mean, the
not.
cabinet guys
Probably though.
are connected to it.
But yeah, I'm sure we've done a few in that
So,
area.
so when people go, well, the standard Facebook response is LOL, affordable housing, right? Give me a break.
Yeah,
But-
because
but-
what I think they're thinking is the person that makes $14 an hour on their own, which, you make $2,500 a month or whatever the math is on that. That's, if your total monthly income's $2,500 a month, you probably aren't buying a house.
You're not. No, you're not.
You're no longer you're in the low income.
So check this out, gang. I ran a search on the multiple listing service right now. And here was the criteria, $250,000 or under, homes for sale. And I didn't fudge it like 260 and maybe we'll negotiate. There's not a lot of negotiating at 250 is a chance.
Right, yeah, it's competitive.
It's competitive. I ran $250,000 or under, let me edit the search, hang on a minute. $250,000 under, single family, condos or townhomes. Okay, now, I'm gonna put, this is again, where like, you have to know what we mean when we go, well, sure, there's homes. I'm gonna say, Andy, is it fair if I put 2 bedrooms or more?
Yeah.
Cause isn't 1 bedroom like, come on?
Yeah.
How many people are in a 1 bedroom? So 2 bedroom, single family, condo or townhome, under $250,000 in Greater St. George or Hurricane Valley. And everybody understands, Greater St. George is Ivins to Washington City.
Yeah.
Hurricane Valley is Hurricane LaVerck and Latocreville, as I like to call it, okay? So, I got 90 results, all right? 2 bedrooms or greater, cool. I got 90 results.
Yeah.
So, like, okay, is there anything available? Well, there is, right?
Yeah.
Now, here's what's interesting about this, Chantry. So he says, if you're earning $55,000 a year as a household income, $1,500 to $2,000 a month in a house payment. Did you say that?
Mhm. Yes, that's
Based
right.
on your down payment. We backed into this is up to $250,000. Now, here's what gets kind of mesmerizing. If we take that and take it up to 300, we go from 90. Jesse, do you want to guess how many?
150.
You're not terrible, 195. We doubled.
Yeah.
So when we went from 250 to 300, we doubled.
And if somebody makes the median income and they have good credit and not a lot of debt, they could probably get to 300,000.
So let's talk about this. What extra income would I need to produce? And I'm gonna be not silly, like waiting tables twice a week or running a paper route or something as a side hustle. What would I need to do to get an extra $50,000 in mortgage, income-wise? How much income would that require?
Oh, $600, $700 a month.
Okay, all right. So you or your spouse, or you just employ your children, get them out there. Hey kid, I need you to mow lawns in there, but only I get to keep 80% of the profits. I don't know what you wanna do.
Yeah, the biggest thing that
$600
prevents most people is if you have 2 car loans, 3 student loans, and 4 credit cards, and you want to buy and you're on the median income. That's tough because you have all those other obligations. But if you're very minimal, maybe a moderate car payment and
Okay.
something like that, that's where you could really.
By the way, I wanted everyone to know that my mother, Dixie Larkin, just said, and I quote, "looking good." Thank you, mother, by the way.
Yeah, she's not bad.
She's so, you like that, Jesse?
I do.
Now, Jessica Marone.
We all need our moms.
Jessica's one of our incredible buyer specialists. She decided to make this complicated. She said that a lot of those will be 55 plus. Okay. All right, so kind of, Jessica, this is a valid point. We went from 195 to 164 results if we went to 55, if we took out 55 plus, right? Now let's go back to our 250, because I went up to 300, right? So $250,000 home, struggling here.
While you're searching for that, one of the things that will always be a bit of a challenge here in St. George is we're a retirement community. People live here because of the weather, because Utah's a great place to be. We're the first warm place south, and we're not California, right? That's what a lot of our people moving in. We're not California, and we're also also not cold weather,
Right.
Wyoming, Idaho, Salt Lake. And so our home prices aren't necessarily gonna be in equal balance to our income, because a lot of the income is these retirees that they drive home prices up just a little bit. But if you go anywhere that's warm weather, nice, coast in California, Florida, those kind of places that are a retirement community, the average income and the average home price don't quite equal.
Yeah,
And
so,
St. George probably won't ever really be that way. It'll probably never work out. People live here because they love the area, not because it's the best income situation
Yeah.
for their family.
yeah. So, this is, and I hope we're giving people killer perspective.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Because we're going away from saying, well, here's the averages, and we're saying, no, here's what you need to actually understand. You have to look at all things, right? And the oldest analogy that I always had was, I asked Andy what a car cost. Well, if I work at a Lexus dealership, I can sell 10 cars, right, and do $500,000 in sales volume. Or if I work at
Kia.
maybe a Kia, I'm gonna do 10 sales and do $300,000 in sales volume, right? So I might sell the same number of cars, but the volume is higher or lower. So we have to factor in things like, well, what kind of community are we? And Jessica, you made a good point. So of the 90 that were available under 250, it took us down to 70 if you took the 55 plus out. However, to Chantry's point, but it's still fair because that many people are 55 or better, as we say, but not 55 or older. It's 55 and better.
Yeah.
Right? So, there's this project that just came online, long-awaited affordable housing project, breaks ground in St. George. My friend Maury Kessler wrote this one for St. George News. And it's the, I think they called it Riverwalk down their village, down off of Riverside Drive, over by the Smith's Marketplace. I drove by there this morning and saw all those projects, or yesterday on my bike. It's beautiful, man. You've seen them.
It is beautiful. And when we're talking affordable housing, I'm not necessarily thinking of a new home either. You know what I'm saying? Like your
No.
first house, if you're just getting going, you probably don't get to get a new home.
Well, you don't.
By the way, that's a great point. That's been a topic on my show, is how can our kids stay in town and buy a home? And truth is, I didn't buy a home when I was 21 years old. I was 30 before I had
Sure.
my first home. And
I think the average age nationally for a home buyer is around 30.
yeah.
And so it's great if you can do it sooner. That's great.
How about this article, and I'm gonna share this morning in the Facebook feed. So, if you haven't, what, about 2 minutes, Andy? If you haven't seen this, I'm gonna throw this in. It's an article in Kiplinger's. Look, I think I responded to my mother. Thanks again, Mom. But I plugged it in there. It's an article titled "Home Prices in the 100 Largest Metro Areas." So just for fun, like median home prices are cheap. You wanna go to Akron, Ohio, it's $135,000. Right? So you can get a home, Denver, Colorado's $383. Honolulu is $600,000. If you wanna live there, you'll be sick of it, to be honest. $634,000 in LA. Twice what home values here are here on average. Ogden, Utah, 214. Let's see here. Salt Lake City, of course, will be in the list, 255. See, that throws me off. 255 is what they claim. That's all. But you know why? Because there's so much more housing. Chantry Abbott is with Guild Mortgage. Chantry, how do people get in touch with you to figure out, like an investment loan? Everyone should be buying investment property or buying a home. How do they talk to you?
Yeah, give us a call, 435-674-1090.
Yeah, 435-674-1090.
So we've been kind of downplaying this. There's still options for zero down. You don't have to have perfect credit, and there are still homes for these first-time buyers. I mean, there's still townhomes for $175,000. There's still zero down options for that. There's still
And
things
let me cap it with this in our final 10 seconds. No, that's not risky. Here's why. It's not more risky to pay your own mortgage with zero down than to live in your landlord's home that you have no control over, that he can sell off from under you.
and raise the rents next
And
year.
raise rate next year. By the way, you can reach us, guys, at Sold in St. George. Thank you, Chantry Abbott. Visit us at soldinstgeorge.com. We got so much. We're out now posting an article per day about the real estate market at soldinstgeorge.com. Sweet. Thanks, guys.
Great job. With Jeremy Larkin, St. George Real Estate Morning Drive. On News Radio 94.9, 890 KDXU.
dude. You're like, okay, perfect. Well, it's fun because you were able to do the morning.